What about you, Aditi?
मैं बताती हूँ discrimination के बारे में. Friends, it is so annoying. No, you know, I tell you, I think it ties in with the, yes, you know, it ties in with what we are sitting here today for, is that stand-up comedy to a very large extent is storytelling, is telling the truth about your life and telling sometimes an exaggerated truth about your life. And I realized that, you know, when it came to lineups and stuff, people would be like, oh my God, you're really funny for a woman. I was like, yeah. But it makes you realize that women have to work triply hard for someone to be interested in their story. Like, I know that, like, a fellow comic once came and told me, तेरे को पता है ना, तेरे set में सब सुट्टा मारने जाते हैं. And I was like, really? What do I have to do? What do I have to do to follow up that guy before me who did like a round of terrible jokes, which everyone was like, हाँ, सच्ची, correct, औरत बहुत time लगाती कपड़े पहनने में. So correct this man is. Telling some real truths of life out here. And then you go on stage and you're definitely saying things that people have never heard before. And actually that was one of the reasons I got into stand-up, was because I was like, I can't identify a narrative of where the woman is funny and not hideous. Like, you know, like otherwise they would be like, "Arey, wo ai, pom, 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 pom." And I was like, kyun? Why can't we be owners of our own stories, and why can't we take the center stage not as an object of attraction? I know that like corporate gigs, I still get like, "Arey, female comedian, shakal kaisi hai?" I was like, koi nahi pooch raha jokes kaise? Koi nahi pooch raha. And then honestly, I mean, I would like to say, Deepika, that I would have totally been like a Deepika Padukone myself. You know, not even remotely. But I like to eat.
Me too. Oops, I shouldn't be saying me too, but I just asked for samosas and they had none.
I will see you backstage by the snack plate.
With the chutney, mixing with the sweet chutney. Yeah.
Where is this? Should they just bring these on? No, anyway. Theek hai, koi baat nahi.
Let's flip it around so that Deepika doesn't get enough time to think this time. And we'll keep it.
I'm very curious to see what these little chits are.
By the way, you guys are being judged. These are on a score of 1 to 10.
Is your wife saying you're terribly boring?
Yeah,
like
that I'm very used to. Yeah. The secret to my marriage's success, which is 17 years by
just say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Just say yes. Great conversation.
This mantra that all you men think like works. It's not a secret anymore.
My parents had the solution for this. My mom and dad are somewhere here. And I remember once I heard them argue when I was 10 or 12. And dad told my mom that, hey, listen, we're going to solve all the big problems. You guys can solve all the small issues, right? All the fiscal issues, the monetary issues, kids, tuition, education, etc. So my mom asked him, what the hell are you going to solve? And he said, well, us guys will get together and solve the Arab-Israeli conflict, the cure to cancer, which is what men do. Get together, have a couple of beers, talk philosophy. It's the Parisian attitude. You guys do the heavy lifting and get paid less, clearly. Yeah. Well, let's flip it around. So, one of my favorite comedians, Chris Rock, made this comment that we live in a time and age.
I thought he was going to say you.
Yeah, I know. I was going to be like, "Kaun this me.
After this, you might bump it up a notch and get up to being.
Oh my God! So work here also.
Yeah, absolutely.
and no pay.
Me. So Chris Rock said, we live in a time and age where everything is so politically sensitive that the gig for a stand-up comedian is borderline pushing the envelope between the last bastion of free speech, right, and maintaining that professional ethic. And I can clearly see how lines can get blurred and things get taken out of context, etc. What's your stance on this, being in the profession?
You know, I think actually political correctness is not the biggest danger to comedy. I think that, in fact, we have lived in a world where easy laughs have been derived from too much cruelty. And the fact that we are pushing back, the fact that the world is pushing back and saying this is not okay, that you can't, like if you're hurting somebody, you're perpetuating a very harmful stereotype, be better. And I mean, of course, we're all going to make mistakes on the way. We're all going to do terrible things, and I have said several and done several politically incorrect things that I sorely regret right now. But having said that, you know, the push towards political correctness as the bastion of free speech, I really don't think it's a problem. And the truth is that because a lot of the narrative has been largely male, a lot of the narrative has been कि औरत को time लगता है कपड़े पहनने में, उसको driving नहीं आता है, oh no, wow. I'm like, you know, in Saudi Arabia, women are not allowed to drive, so give us some time. Nobody's like, अरे मर्दों को साड़ी नहीं पहननी आती. Give them some time to learn. So it's sort of, you know, I think that, in fact, if anything, you know, not maybe curtailing voices, but giving mics to, or giving stories to people whose stories have not been heard before is going to actually lead us to a more inclusive and empathetic world. And women will actually feel, because I mean, I don't know, maybe like women are more, somebody told me this recently, ki Aditi, yaar, you know, sometimes you're a lot more cruel in real life than you are on stage. And I was like, you know what, it's true, because I feel terrified to sometimes say some really, really cruel, funny things, which I know my male friends will like gas off with confidence and someone's like throw money at them or whatever. But so I think that when you hear more empathetic stories, when you hear more kind and more inclusive stories, you just have a more empathetic, inclusive and kind world.
Thanks for that. Deepika's got to run after this. We'll continue the panel, but let me pose a question to you. And a fellow venture capitalist recently wrote about, I don't know if you guys have read this article, about the return of investment on any movie that has been made in 2018 over a budget of 50 crores. Have you read about this? It's fascinating. So every movie, this is the last question for Deepika. I'm getting all these cues. In 2018, all the movies...
Guys, like, are we under attack or something?
Yeah, I know. Now you know what I feel like.
Samosa taiyar hai.
So all movies made over a budget of 50 crores. Over. In 2018, there are many data points that were remarkable, including the extremely poor ROI on all movies made by the Khans, but leave that aside. I had to slip it in there. The top 5 movies, purely in terms of return on investments, of the top 5, 4 have been women-centric themes. That's saying something. And do you think this trend will continue, being in the industry? And I think it's pretty awesome that someone ran this analysis.
So,
just to give you numbers, so the return on investments on real estate in India was about 7%. The Khans returned 9%. Women-centric movies, the top 4 out of the 10, or the 5, sorry, returned well north of 25%. Yeah, which is remarkable. Be happy to share this link with you guys, but what do you think of this?
I think it's amazing, and I think, look, I think it's nice for us to say women-centric or female-centric at you know, at a moment like this when we're talking about female role models. Having said that, when it comes to creativity, we need to look beyond female or male. It's about the film. If the film didn't work, you know, it's okay. It's a different thing that the films that the Khans didn't work. But say there was a film like Andhadhun that was led by Ayushmann. So I think that it really boils down to the script itself. But yes, I see a trend, which is films that, you're right, films that are being led by women are doing much better. Also, we're in a place today where directors are changing roles. And that's unheard of. You have, you know, if you have a script that sort of has a male protagonist, and suddenly directors are like, 1 second, let me just flip that. Let me just make that a female protagonist and then go to so-and-so with the film. So you hear of a film that was offered to a male actor like 2-3 years ago and it's coming back to you now with a female protagonist is a huge achievement, you know. But as a creative person, I would not like to make this distinction of like male-led and female-led and all of that. I would just say that I think great content is what is really working right now. And I think a lot of that has to go to the audience. They're ready for that. I don't think it matters today anymore who is in the movie. It really depends on the kind of story that's being told, how well the director's telling that story. So there's a lot of these factors also, I think, that are playing a very, very important role in, in the success of these films. It's not, I don't think you can blindly say, okay, so-and-so's in the film, so let's go and watch it. I think 2018 was a clear sort of,
watershed year.
On that, so you have to sort of, right from the promo, the posters, all of that, I think that the audience has that pulse. I think they know instantly from the minute that first trailer goes out, they know at that very moment whether they want to watch that film or not. Of course, there are films that may not be sort of trending right from the start, but then they release on that weekend and there's that word of mouth that sort of, helps elevate the film. But yes, I think gone are the days when you just had like a big star on a film poster and that film worked.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you. I don't know if you're going to, are you going to kidnap her? Yeah, you're going to kidnap Deepika? Okay.
I don't need my samosas.
So we're going to unveil the book at this point before Deepika leaves, and then get back to the panel. So let's have you guys steal the show. I'm going to step away for a second.
Like a contestant on KBC, yeah. Woo!
Thank you.
Yeah, samosa bhi lag. Oh, yeah.
Take a picture with all the kids and can you come forward? Sorry.
Lovely evening and thank you.
लाइफ का कोई ऐसा इंसिडेंट जब आपको ऐसा लगा कि हाँ मुझे लड़की होना चाहिए या आपके ऊपर लड़की से ऐसा ब्लेम किया एक्टर बनने के लिए नहीं बनने के लिए?
नहीं, आई थिंक जैसे दीपिका ने कहा दैट वी केम फ्रॉम अ फैमिली जहाँ पर गर्ल एंड बॉय में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं किया गया था. माई पेरेंट्स वर वेरी सपोर्टिव जब मैंने कहा कि मुझे एक्टर बनना है. इनफैक्ट माई मदर गेव अप हर जॉब ताकि वो मेरे साथ एक जगह से दूसरी जगह तक जा सके. ऑफ कोर्स प्रोटेक्टिव थे बिकॉज ये इंडस्ट्री उनको मालूम नहीं थी. तो मुझे अभी भी याद है फर्स्ट मीटिंग पे जाना था तो मॉम एंड डैड बोथ वेंट एंड टुक मी फॉर द फर्स्ट मीटिंग ऑफ माई मॉडलिंग असाइनमेंट. बट मैं लकी थी दैट माई पेरेंट्स वर वेरी वेरी सपोर्टिव. बट हैविंग सेड दैट ये बात हम लोग इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते दैट वर्ल्ड में एक डिफरेंस है. एंड आई थिंक व्हाट वी आर कॉन्स्टेंटली वर्किंग टूवर्ड्स एज विमेन हु आर इन अ पोजिशन टू इज़ ब्रिज दैट गैप. तो हम हर तरफ से important personalities, चाहे वो actors हों या sports में हों या writers हों, I think their agenda is to give across the power woman definition, and yeah, each one of us is trying to do that.
2019 स्टार्ट हो चुका है, हम
जी।
आपके कौन कौन से अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट देखेंगे?
स्टार्टिंग विद दे दे प्यार दे, दे दे प्यार दे आएगी, और अभी मरजावा की शूटिंग चल रही है, सो मरजावा विल बी समवेयर इन अक्टूबर, एंड बाकी आई विल अनाउंस समथिंग सून अगैन, देयर सम इंटरेस्टिंग टॉक्स. और तमिल में 3 रिलीजेस हैं, अभी फरवरी में एक रिलीज़ है, एंड देन अप्रैल में एक रिलीज़ है, एंड एंड ऑफ द ईयर अनदर वन, एंड तेलुगु विल ऑल्सो हैव 2 फिल्म्स.
डेफिनेटली आपका शेड्यूल बहुत ही बिजी जाने वाला है.
Hello.
And क्योंकि आपका शेड्यूल बहुत ही बिजी जाने वाला है, लेकिन दे दे प्यार दे की अगर मैं बात करूँ, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग सब्जेक्ट है. आई थिंक शायद रोमांटिक
जी.
होने वाली है फिल्म.
जी.
या आप बताइए कि किस तरह की फिल्म होगी, क्या स्क्रिप्ट होगी, और आपका कैसा
क्या
रहेगा?
स्क्रिप्ट होगी?
मतलब रोमांटिक होगी, डेफिनेटली रोमांटिक होगी.
जी, it's a rom-com. Love Ranjan, after Sonu की T2, he's producing this film, and Aki sir ने direct की है. It's a very new age romantic comedy. मैं ज़्यादा details नहीं बता सकती अभी, but all I can tell you is that it's going to be an amazing film for every family, like every age group to watch. तब्बू मैम है उसमें, अजय सर हैं, एंड मैं हूँ. अभी वो स्टोरी क्या है मैं नहीं बता सकती, पर बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है, एंड आई एम श्योर पीपल विल लाइक इट.
तमिल एक फिल्म आप, जहाँ तक हमें पता है कि लाइक रिप्राइजिंग रोल ऑफ लेट एक्ट्रेस
श्रीदेवी जी. जी,
वो कब रिलीज होने वाली है?
फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑलरेडी रिलीज़ हो गया है, जो अभी रिलीज़ हुआ है लास्ट वीक जनवरी में, एंड इट्स गॉट अ वेरी वेरी गुड रिस्पॉन्स. बट बिकॉज माइन इज़ अ स्पेशल अपीयरेंस, तो वो दोनों पार्ट्स में 2-3 सीन इधर हैं और थोड़ा बहुत, सो इट्स स्प्लिट बिटवीन बोथ द पार्ट्स, एंड वी गॉट अ वेरी गुड रिस्पॉन्स, एंड 1 Feb को सेकेंड पार्ट रिलीज़ होगा.
मुझे पूछने के लिए उसी में ऐड ऑन है कि अभी एक और फिल्म, जैसे लोग उनका नाम लेके एक और फिल्म रिलीज कर दी, आपने सुना होगा उस फिल्म के बारे में?
जी, श्रीदेवी बंगलो.
ये ठीक लग रहा है, मतलब
सी आई डोंट नो द डिटेल्स ऑफ इट. मैंने भी वही पढ़ा है जो ऑनलाइन ट्विटर पे आता है, और आई डोंट थिंक आई शुड कमेंट ऑन इट कि अभी उसमें राइट्स थे या नहीं थे. आप मेरे को उतनी डिटेल्स मालूम नहीं है, सो आई नॉट लाइक टू कमेंट ऑन दैट.
नए साल में आप क्या कर दिखाना चाहेंगे?
जो मैं हर साल करती हूँ, काम, और बहुत सारा काम, एंड आई जस्ट होप दैट लोगों को वो काम पसंद आए. थैंक यू.